Rhode Island here, chatting with comedian Shawn Carter. Very excited to chat with you. I love your comedy. I love your style. I love your point of view. You're just very smart when it comes to your writing, and you are great. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out today. I really do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. And thank you for saying nice things.
Yes, well, of course. So let's talk about this because you have a lot going on right now. You've been working on a few different things. Let's talk about that. You can pick where you want to start because you have a few different things happening at the moment. So,
Sure. So, man, currently, right now, I am running a comedy festival in Bristol, Tennessee. So that's pretty wild. And I also run a comedy club there. And I've just released an album, or it's releasing December 15th, called Boston to Bristol. So, a lot of stuff going on. I also am raising a 3 year old. So that's pretty fun.
yeah, well, you certainly have your hands full. So, I'm
Yeah.
interested to know, like, you make your way from one place to another. Now you open a comedy club, you have a comedy festival. Like, I'm interested to know about the opening the comedy club part because I've heard that happen a few different times with comics, and it's generally for one reason or other. But I'm interested to know, like, what made you decide? Was it an opportunity to be able to perform and you have your own place to do it? It makes it easier on the traveling schedule.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a nice little byproduct of it. I think that my ability to travel kind of ended once I had a child. And
Yeah.
then yeah, and just living where I live, there's no comedy clubs around. So there's no way that I could have kind of just worked at somebody else's and, been a house MC or whatever, work through the schedule whenever you can. I couldn't do that. So it was actually my wife's idea. My wife Sarah said we should open a comedy club here, and I had a lot of experience like producing shows in Boston and stuff, and I'd been around it for a long time, so it felt like something that I could do and that I would enjoy doing. And having so many friends that are comedians, I knew that we would definitely have no lack of talent that would be like happy to come through. So yeah, it's really worked out well for me as far as just like continuing my development and my ability to get on stage and help me balance that with like family life.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. So I imagine with all that experience, how would you compare the two comedy scenes from Tennessee versus Boston? I mean, obviously they're different in a lot of ways, but what has your experience been?
Sure. Well, first I would preface this by saying that Tennessee is a massive state. So like Memphis has its own scene, Nashville has its own scene, but where I am in Bristol, Tennessee, there really was no scene when I arrived. There's a couple people that had been doing comedy before I showed up. They traveled, they did random bar shows every once in a while where we live, but there really wasn't a scene here. So, I mean, Boston is a big scene. There's hundreds of comedians and aspiring comedians, and it's a really good, nice collaborative place, or at least it was when I was there. I haven't been there in 3 years, and that was before COVID. So I don't know how much anything has changed. But
Wow.
but Bristol really had no scene. So once we opened the club and we started doing open mics, I think our first open mic we had 4 people at, and all four were like, "This is my first time on stage," you know. But now we have a nice little scene. We have a nice community. Our open mics are normally 20 people, and we have audiences that come out just to watch open mic and watch shows and things like that. So it's really great.
I think that's very cool because I live in Loveland, Colorado. I don't know if you're familiar with
Oh
Denver.
yeah, I
So
was
there's a
actually
lot of
talking to a
things
guy from there
happening along the
yesterday.
corridor, but I know a couple comedians locally here, and
Yeah,
they produce their own shows as
yeah,
well, because for multiple reasons, obviously, but it's a chance for them to perform and work out material, but also perform in all the other spots between here and Denver and Boulder and everywhere else. So I think it was out of, as you said, a byproduct of just having good relationships with other club owners in Denver. Comedy Works, the Comedy
yeah,
Fort in Fort Collins, not to name drop, but those are the clubs that they work at regularly. But then
yeah.
to be able to come and do things here too and have open mics and stuff. And that's cool having had the experience that you had, um, and providing opportunities for other people too. That's great though. Your first open mic, 4 people, that's huge.
Yeah, it was yeah, I was sitting there when four people came in and I'm going, well, we got somebody, but you know what I mean? Like, I hope this grows over the next, and I would make a post on Facebook and different social media after every show, after every open mic, and I'd say, well, this week we got seven. Let's hope for eight next week. And it kept growing. And now we have a nice little community. And I actually ran into somebody from Loveland yesterday because we have some people in for the festival. So
Was
a
it,
guy
what
named
was the name? Just out of
Dan
curiosity.
Bublitz
Oh yeah, he's one
Jr.
of my good friends. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I should have known that. Well, when I was reading through all of your stuff, I looked at it and I was like, I think that's the same festival that Dan was at. So yeah, Dan's a good guy. Him and Jeff are just some of the best. And that's very cool. So you have this club, you make the trek across the country, you open up the club, and now you're raising a child. Eh, Do you find yourself mining your life these days now for material as you're writing and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, for sure. I have jokes in my on my album that have to do with having my child and what it's like sometimes with a toddler and things like that, which is kind of funny because I never thought I'd be doing like sort of dad comedy. You know what I mean? I spent from probably 26 years old. Man, I must have started when I was about 26 or so. And I didn't have a kid until I was 39. So I did comedy for over a dozen years without a child. So I just never thought that I didn't think that was going to be my style of comedy, but your real life, feeds into what you're writing about and, the types of things that are going into your act. So yeah.
So do you have a lot of national acts that come through then to your club because you obviously have the connections and stuff?
Yeah, when I started, I thought, hey, we're going to have a lot of people that I know that have done some cool things. I mean, just coming out of Boston, a lot of my friends ended up, either moving to New York or LA, but like getting some really nice spots on like Last Comic Standing and things like that, and Conan spots and stuff. And I did have a lot of my friends come through that had done those things, but I've met a lot of people as well that, once the word got out that this was a fun place to play and that it was like a comedian owned place because like, it's not some place where the people running it don't care. It's like a place where I'm like, come have fun. Like, we're gonna have a fun show. We're gonna have a good time. So I've been hit up by a lot of comedians that I had not known before, and I feel like I've become friends with since, and that also have great credits, are very funny. Yeah, so it's been really easy actually. Booking talent has not been the struggle.
Oh, has there been struggle just as far as like maintaining everything and keeping all the plates spinning?
Oh yeah, I mean just running like business, stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, selling tickets every weekend. Comedy club is kind of a unique beast where it's like, if you own a coffee shop or something, you probably got the same people coming in every single day. But comedy club, you got some regulars, but a lot of people that go to a comedy show go like once a year, maybe twice a year, something like that. So you're kind of trying to, you're trying to sell 100 people on coming to a show basically every week, like 100 different people every week. So that can be a challenge. But we're up for it. We just try to book good shows and gain a good reputation.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. Well, let's talk about the album. That's always a badge of honor when you can do that.
Yeah, it's been great. I reached out to the folks at Blonde Medicine who are just wonderful people. I just love them. And I was like, I'm trying to put this album together. There's nobody else that I'd rather work with than you. And let's do this. And eventually they were like, all right, let's do this. And we got it together. And there was the question of like, do you want to record it at your comedy club? You've got a comedy club. Do you want to record it there or in Boston? And we did it in Boston because I felt like I wanted to go home and be around, people that I'd known a long time, but also hadn't seen me do comedy in a while because I hadn't been home in about 3 years. And I didn't want to do it at my club where kind of everybody has seen me do the same set
Yeah.
kind of a lot. I wanted those punchlines to hit, like to be a surprise when they came out. Um, so yeah, we decided on Boston. We found a venue, we sold the tickets. We got a nice big crowd in there. I got like some of my high school teachers came out for it, like some old friends. We had a dozen people that I've just met through the club that have started doing comedy and kind of become like my regular comedians here in Bristol. Like a dozen of them flew up to Boston to like come to the show and just like visit Boston. And we put it on tape, and I was very happy with the result. I got, everything in there that I wanted to get in there, all the material I'd been working on. I feel like it was really well received. I feel really good about the finished product. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you can move on to that new stuff, perhaps, right? Is that like, what is your process once you put an album out? Because I'm sure you've probably been telling some of those jokes for a while.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A couple of them have been, you know, I've been telling some of these jokes for years and years.
Love it.
And there's a couple of jokes that kind of emerged in the past. Well, not 6 months now, but like probably about 6 months before I recorded the album, where it started hitting really well right off the bat. And I'm recording an album in 6 months. Is this going to make it? Like, I'm only 6 months out. Is this going to be developed enough by the time that I get there? And it was. And I'm super excited to have those ones on there, but they're the ones that I'm like, I can still do those. Like, those are going to be my holdovers while I work on the new material. But I'll dump the ones that I've been doing for a few years and really try to push myself to, that's the tough thing about after recording an album. Now it's like, I'm going to go up at shows and I just have to embrace the fact that I'm going to have some rough sets, as I
That's part
start
of what
doing
you
new
do, though.
material.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It is. It's just like it's tough to accept though after you've been spending months on like old material and polishing it and trying to get it to like right where you want it to then go to like brand new stuff where you're kind of like, I don't even know. I don't even know how an audience is going to react to this yet. I think it's funny. Will they? It's kind of, yeah, it's a new challenge like all over again. So it'll be fun.
I love it. Well, congratulations. If people want to listen, they can head over to Blonde Medicine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's on their website. It's also on iTunes and Bandcamp, and I think those the links that you'll find on the Blonde Medicine website. Yeah,
And you have some great shows booked for the club too, I would imagine.
yeah. Right now, I mean, so we're doing the festival right now, which is great. Just to see 60 comedians coming through from like 20 different states. That's a lot of fun. And then coming up, we've got some really great people coming back through. We got Michael Palisak coming back, who's terrific. We got, Anthony DeVito coming back. We've got a lot of wonderful people that, I've just been lucky enough to get to know and have a good time with. And then we have this December, I have one of my friends who started with us 2 years ago. I've got him closing out the show. So he's doing like his first ever closing set where he's going to try and stretch, which I think is like key for comedians development, is to like have a place where you can go do that. And it's your home club and, they want to see you succeed.
I love it. Well, this is awesome. Shawn, congratulations. And I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out today.
Thanks so much.